Good morning from Turkey.
What's wrong with the world, mama? People living like they ain't got no mamas. I think the whole world's addicted to the drama, only attracted to things that'll bring the trauma. Overseas, yeah, we trying to stop terrorism, but we still got terrorists here living in the USA, the big CIA, the Bloods and the Crips and the KKK. But if you only have love for your own race, then you only leave space to discriminate, and to discriminate only generates hate. And when you hate, then you're bound to get irate. Yeah, madness is what you demonstrate, and that's exactly how anger works and operates. Man, you gotta have love just to set it straight. Take control of your mind and meditate. Let your soul gravitate to the love, y'all.
People killing, people dying, children hurt and you hear them crying. When you practice what you preach, and would you turn the other cheek? Father, 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 help us, send some guidance from above. These people got me questioning, where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love?
So we made it to the Middle East. What a different world it is over here. So we flew from Amsterdam, and our first flight was directly to Istanbul. It was quite a long flight. It was about 4 hours. And then from there, we met our Uncle Mo at the airport, and together we flew to another city in Turkey called Ankara. Now, Ankara is the capital of Turkey, and it is absolutely beautiful. I had no idea it was going to be this incredible. We flew in pretty late at night after our second flight, and the whole city is lit up so beautifully with lights just everywhere, but in the most professional way. Like, they're not just lights everywhere, it's beautiful green lights that go across the bridge and beautiful purple lights that light up the trees that you pass by. Absolutely amazing. On the way there, I couldn't believe how many vineyards we passed. There's so many hills, and the hills are just covered in grape fields just growing. And I actually looked it up, and surprisingly, Turkey is the 4th leading producer of grapes in the world. So we made it to Ankara, and the only reason we were going there is because Uncle Mo and Tyler had some business meetings there. So we were only staying 2 days. Now, unfortunately, this is how it goes when we travel, more so than when you're home, because we are seeing so many people on so many flights. Preston actually got sick. He got a very, very bad stomach bug after the first night we were there, and he was violently ill. So originally I had thought that Preston had got the stomach bug from room service because I hate to say this, but I was honestly really afraid to go to Turkey. I had never been to the Middle East. The things that are said about Turkey on the US government website, they say it's like a level 3, which is the top level. There's 3 different tiers when you go to look at a country about traveling on the US government website. And level 3 says you should very much consider not going. And it said that you should avoid very tourist areas. Westerners are especially targeted, specifically for kidnapping. So I really tried to talk Tyler to not take us there. I did not want to go to Turkey. I was afraid. I didn't think people were going to be accepting of us as Americans. And to my surprise, It was the total opposite, honestly, and it just goes to show you not everything is as it seems. I had quite the judgment going to Turkey, and unless you've actually been to that country yourself, you literally don't know what you're talking about. You know, you can read things, you can see things on the news, but unless you've been there and you've experienced what there is, then you just really don't know. So when we were in Ankara, the guys were out the full 2 days doing their business meetings. So at that point, I had no idea what Turkey was about. I was so scared. We stayed inside the whole time. Preston got a bad stomach bug. I thought it was from room service. However, the next morning when we were flying back to Istanbul to do our real vacationing and enjoying our time in Turkey, Tyler got super sick, could not stop throwing up. We decided that we were just going to do the flight because the flight was only like 30 minutes, literally. Right on takeoff, Tyler, he could not stop throwing up. Everyone was looking at him. It was pretty funny, but I know like he was just totally miserable. And I thought I was getting by easy. I thought, I didn't get it. I don't know what they ate, but I feel fine. We made it to the hotel in Istanbul, and there I go. I was violently ill. So thankfully, Uncle Mo was with us. He was able to go get us some medicine, and thankfully it only lasted 24 hours for each of us. So the next day Preston was fine. Then the following day I was totally better, ready to go out and explore. So on our first day out, we took it easy. We just went downtown and walked along the Bosphorus Straight, which is just absolutely beautiful. It's not very wide, but super long. There's 3 bridges that go across, and the Bosphorus Strait divides European Turkey from Asian Turkey. So that's kind of neat. Preston got a kite, and he was flying his kite all along the strait. It was kind of funny. There's tons and tons of people fishing, catching these little tiny fish, like 10 at a time. I don't know how they do it. They just like throw their reel in with 10 hooks, and immediately they catch the fish. We went, and there was this beautiful mosque right on the water that I got pictures of, and right when we had got there, the lights were not on because it was just the sun was setting. So I got a picture, and then 5 minutes later they turned the lights on, and it was outstanding with the lights on. There's food vendors everywhere you go, like chestnuts, because they're in season now, I just love chestnuts. It just reminds me of Christmas time in New York City last year. You know, chestnuts roasting on an open fire. They have corn vendors everywhere where you can either get boiled or grilled corn. And then potatoes. So they have these potato stands where they have all different kinds of toppings. They have carrots, they have peas, they have beets, they have olives, they have like some kind of like potato salad mix that's like a cold that you can put on it. And then of course, like, you know, butter and salt they put on as well. And then to top it off, which I thought was very interesting, they put ketchup and mayonnaise. So we got almost everything on ours, and it was delicious. Pretty much like that whole day we just like spent eating our way around because we had been so sick.
Same, always new change. New days are strange. Is the world insane? If love and peace is so strong, why are the pieces of love that don't belong? Nations dropping bombs, chemical gases filling lungs of little ones with ongoing suffering. As the youth are young, so ask yourself, is the loving really gone? So I could ask myself, really what is going wrong in this world that we living in? People keep on giving in, making wrong decisions, only visions of them dividends, not respecting each other.
Then the next day, we took an amazing tour of the HAGIA Sophia. HAGIA Sophia? So it is one of the 7 wonders of the medieval world. And what is so unique about this place is that when it was originally built in 537 AD, it was built as a Greek Orthodox cathedral. So there's mosaics of Jesus and Mary and Joseph in gold, and it is beautiful. Then it was turned into an Ottoman imperial mosque. And what is so cool is that even though it was turned into a mosque and they added symbols and words of Allah or God, they kept all of the Christian symbolisms as well. They never took them down. So there's like the Christian crosses everywhere, as well as Arabic words for Allah and God, which was just so cool to see those two religions in one place. And now, of course, they turned it into a museum, so you can go, walk around, see how amazing it is, and it really is, like, it was such a great experience for all of us. The kids loved it. They were running around, playing. Unlike most churches that we went into, like in Russia, they have a lot of things roped off because they don't want you to touch them. But here, there hardly was anything roped off, so the kids were able to go and touch and feel everything, which is just such a unique experience for them. So that took up a whole day of us walking around and seeing everything around the HAGIA Sophia. Another day we went to the Grand Bazaar. Now, the easiest way for me to like explain this to you is that it's like a huge flea market, but saying flea market just makes it sound not as good as it is. So it really is a grand bazaar. It covers 61 streets, there's over 4,000 shops, and it's all covered, but there's no air conditioning because it is still outside, but it is all covered as one big market. And it just goes on forever and ever. Like, there's like rows this way, there's rows that way, those rows branch off. It is incredible. You can find anything and everything there. And something that was super cool is that there would be like these little tea runners. So there'd be like people that carry these little cups of tea to the shop owners. They will like call someone and be like, hey, we'd like some tea. And they carry all these little cups of tea between thousands of people on these trays. And they're not in plastic cups or anything. They are in fancy Turkish teacups on a nice, gorgeous plate. And they're just running around all these people delivering the tea. So cool.
Sit down together and laugh with each other about these days, these days. All our troubles we'll lay to rest
we did get one thing from the bazaar. I didn't go crazy, although Tyler thought I was going to. But really, we can't buy too much. You know, we're living out of a suitcase, and anything that we add, we really have to take other things out. So we got a mug to add to our collection, which we've been doing. We get a mug in every country, and that's just something that we started actually a couple years ago at Disney, and we've just continued it on. Everywhere we go, we collect a mug, and we have a huge mug collection now. It's like over 100 mugs. It's ridiculous. Another thing I read after we left the Grand Bazaar is that I couldn't believe how many people were there. First of all, Tyler hates crowds, so he was like mind blown when we walked in and saw how many people there were, because he gets lost very easily. And I read that on average, 300,000 people visit it daily. That's crazy, right? All right, so then the biggest, this was really like changed my whole perception. How I was saying, I was literally terrified to go to Turkey. I was super afraid the kids were gonna get kidnapped. Like, I don't know, like I just didn't know, and other people didn't really tell me differently other than Tyler, because Uncle Mo, who is our dear friend, he's come and visited us in America several times now, and their businesses work hand in hand together, Tyler and Uncle Mo's. So Uncle Mo has been to Turkey several times, and you know, he was telling us like, it's totally fine, you're okay. But I had no idea. And to my surprise, when we were in Istanbul, my thinking totally changed. People there are so kind, and it really is so sad. And I'm just like, honestly, like ashamed of myself for even thinking the way I was. People are just normal people there. Like, it's really sad how in America now, like, Muslims are getting such a bad reputation because of terrorists. They have nothing to do with terrorists, you know? They are their own people. They are so kind, and I actually enjoyed them more than most European people. European people I found to be very stern, straight-faced. They don't smile, right? Other than in Holland and in the little town we were in Italy. But literally, Turkish people love children so much. When we would go out to eat, the waiters and waitresses would just love on our children. They would love on them. Sometimes they would even pick Penelope up if she was being a bit fussy so we could eat. They would take her around and dance with her and show her off to the other people there. And after a few days, I realized I have nothing to fear. You know, everywhere in the world, there are going to be bad people, but for the most part, people are good. And everywhere we went to the park, and I felt safe. I was at the park with the children alone, and the other parents there, they're just parents, just like us, playing with their children. They were smiling at me. They were playing with Penelope. Their kids were playing with Penelope. And it's just been such a life-changing experience, honestly, coming to Turkey, to a place I was so afraid of. And my mentality and my perception has totally changed. And this is part of traveling the world, and I absolutely love it. Like, you know, people will say things even though they've never been there, and you just gotta take it like a grain of sand, you know? Unless you've experienced it, you really don't know. And so to have judgments about people and places you've never been, it just shouldn't be. And I'm guilty of this as well, and I'm so glad my perception has changed. So overall, Turkey has been incredible. Double thumbs up. We also found a Rasta concert one night. Like, who knew? I would have never guessed they had even Rasta music in the Middle East. But again, they are people just like us, and they enjoy things just like everybody else. So why can't they like rock out to some Rasta music? We had so much fun, and it's so funny, like Penelope started dancing anytime she hears music in a taxi, outside, if I play my Pandora, she'll just start waving her arms, rocking to the music, and we finally got a little clip of it on camera.
Preston. She's dancing.
And she was just having the best time, and people were having the best time watching her dance. They were loving her. And Turkey, oh, I just love you. I am so glad. Something interesting about Turkey is that most people only speak Turkish. The language barrier is quite large. Even though most of the signs are in Turkish and English as well, they don't speak any English. Interesting. But thankfully we did have our own personal tour guide this week, Ali. So he works very closely with Muhammad and Tyler. He is a business associate of theirs, and so he was with us every single day showing us around, and it was fantastic having him with us. Really, it would have been much difficult without him to communicate what we wanted every day, but with his help, Turkey was an outstanding, life-changing country, and I highly recommend everybody to go there. The people are so welcoming, so kind, they smile at you, and even though they don't understand, if you try to do something yourself without a translator, they will try to understand you, you know, they try, and you just can't ask for anything more. Turkey, we love you, we will be coming back, thank you. So, stay tuned for next time. We are off to another Middle Eastern country, and we cannot wait.
I want you to have it all.